I am joined on the UK Drum Show official podcast by James Compton. Yeah, how are
How you
you?
doing, man? I'm good, bro. How you doing?
I'm
Good to see you, man.
delicious. You too.
Delicious. You look delicious.
Stop it. We've just met. Um, Firstly, let's start back. Catfish and the Bottlemen. I mean, they are just enormous. And
Yeah, man.
you're the beat master behind the
The
band. You've been laying down grooves with Catfish for a while now.
Mhm.
What has been sort of your secret sauce to the band's ongoing energy?
the secret source to the ongoing energy. I mean, I came on board a few years ago, and I think really for me the parts are so amazing, like on all the records, So it's just such a like a pleasure to be playing, like just such great songs, and everything's wicked, and it's I think for me it's just like bringing that energy from the records and then just putting that onto the stage. That's really kind of my main focus. Is having fun and just making sure those parts are locked, and just bringing that energy on the shows. So that's kind of that's really, there's no sort of, I guess, secret ingredient. It's already there. It's just bringing it to the show.
When you
So
talk
that's
about
the thing.
your experience with Catfish so far, the
Mhm.
smile that just kind of erupts on your face really says how happy you are to be in the band. Is there ever a point in your career so far where you've been maybe sitting behind your kit, whether it's been in front of a sea of people or whether it's just been in front of a few sort of, small gig where you've kind of thought, this is my life. This is what I want to do. This is it.
Um, I feel like, I mean, I've always been with with everything that I've done in the past, with every actor I've worked with. I've always had, I don't know, I've always just felt like, um I don't know, I feel so grateful, and I feel so privileged that I get to do this. I hate when people say you as a job, because I guess it it is, but it also isn't. You know what I mean? It's just, I feel for me that, um I've always loved what I do, but when I got brought on to work with the lads, um it it's just been so, like, everything has just been like, it's just so much fun. The shows are amazing, and like, I love the music.
Hmm.
And I think that's always such an important part of it, is it's like, yeah, when I got, I guess, like, approached about it, I was just like, fuck, man, this is wicked. Like, these guys are awesome. I mean, obviously I knew the band anyway, and
Yeah.
um yeah, it's just one of those. I know. I just think all the shows, playing all the shows, it has that kind of euphoric, like, kind of energy to it. I just
Hmm.
love that, man. So I think I can't really single out one thing, I guess, but with these guys especially, it's like elevated. It's just the energy is just like, yeah, amazing. It's a lot of fun.
It's super cool and well deserved. You're an amazing drummer, and you've put yourself out there. I know that you've been working hard behind the scenes for a very long time,
Mm,
to get where you are today. One of the things I know that you've done, which we spoke about, is you
yeah,
actually used to volunteer at the UK Drum Show, or back in the
yeah,
day when it kind of first started out. So you were 15,
yeah,
16, helping out with the show,
yeah,
and here you are, full
yeah,
circle, now playing the show over the 18th and 19th of October at
yep.
the ACC Liverpool. How would teenage James feel about the fact he was once volunteering at this event and now he's playing it?
Yeah, man. That for me is this. It's honestly, it's still, when I think about it, I just smile. It's like, it was something I always wanted to do as a kid, and when I was working at the show, um, doing all the things that the amazing staff do, and helping everyone get to where they need to be, and making the show happen. I remember I would always go and uh, see if I could sneak into the master classes that I could, and the people on the main stage, and I just would be in awe and just be like, oh, like one day, because I've been playing drums since I was 6 years old, um, and I kind of by the time I was doing the shows back then I was I knew this is what I wanted to do, and that drumming was something that I had to be doing it for,
Yeah.
that was all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So seeing all the guys there doing it, and it's yeah, man, it's just such a beautiful full circle moment for me, and I'm so excited to yeah, to be doing the show on the 19th. I'll be there on the
19th
19th.
on
So
the
yeah,
19th of
yeah,
October. So for you,
yeah,
you were work well, you were volunteering, you were working at the UK drum show many years ago.
yeah.
And you had the opportunity of sort of, walking artists around or showing people where they needed to be. And now
Mm,
you're
mm,
going to be the person
yeah,
inspiring the very audience you were
yeah,
working with. Um,
yeah.
what do you think you're going to be bringing to the table to this year's UK drum show that might
Mm.
perhaps stand out to what other drummers might be doing? And bearing in mind, James, you've had a long time to think about this because you worked the show
Yeah.
so many years ago.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think for me on this show, I wanna I'm not trying to come in and be like this dude that's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show you all these chops and do all this kind of stuff. I think there's so many guys who are incredible at that who will be doing that as well. I think for me is I wanna come in, I wanna do my thing. Um, I'm going to be playing a bunch of songs like that have inspired me to kind of guess get to the point where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And also I guess like I feel like maybe everyone's path to doing this professionally is different, right? The way everyone gets to this point is totally different. And I guess for me it's just I kind of want to showcase how I guess I got here, because I
Yeah.
don't, you know, I think I love hearing everyone's stories. When I was at the show, and I go to the show pretty much every year anyway.
Mhm.
I love, I just love seeing everyone playing and getting all the inspiration from all the drummers there and musicians there. And yeah, I think I just want to almost showcase my story to getting to this point, because I'm always so inspired by hearing like everyone else's. So I think. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to be talking about, and I think it's important as well. I think, I guess I remember when I was like working the show and hearing all these stories, and I'm still like, man, like how do these? It must be impossible to do this kind of thing, and
Mhm.
it's obviously a lot of hard work, but I think it's very inspiring to hear how people get into this whole thing, and I think to be like, well, you could do this as well. You know what I mean? If you have the tools for it, you can do it. So I think that's really important. So that's what
So
it'll be.
how did you? I mean, I'm gonna throw that question straight back at you. How on
Mm,
earth did you get a gig with Catfish and the Bottlemen? Because I know that when you joined, they were
mm.
already of an enormous band.
Of course, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So really, uh, really when I came on. Um, it was through a mutual contact. G- got in touch with me about that, and I think how it was for the guys, it's just having that kind of right. It has to just gel right, you know what I mean? And they just want the sound to be amazing, and for the energy.
Mhm.
And I guess like all the things I like to bring to a show with all the acts that I've worked with in the past. I guess for me it's I just my like most important thing that I just try to well I put on everything is just energy. You know what I mean? It's just all
Yeah.
about energy. And yeah, we just kind of came through a mutual contact, and then it kind of just went from there really. It was yeah, that's kind of how that came about. There was no kind of elaborate I guess thing that happened, but it was just like that. But I guess that in itself comes from you could kind of expand that to be like, well, maybe the things I've been doing kind of 10 years prior to that, or
Mm.
whatever, have kind of put me in positions that will know these people to get into that.
Yeah.
And that's just about, getting yourself out there and proving yourself to people, you know what I mean? You kind of want, when your name comes up, you want people to be like, oh man, yeah, that guy, instead of like, oh, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? You just want to have
Yeah.
that kind of impression going on. So um yeah, so I guess it's an accumulation of things that have happened over the years to get to this point. But yeah.
You've obviously spent a very long time not only perfecting your craft, which I know no craft
Mm,
is ever perfect, but you've spent many years honing in on that craft, making it as
mhm.
good as possible. But also you've been networking behind the scenes as well. Um,
Yeah.
do you think for drummers in particular, do you think kind of networking is a super important tool, or is it not? Is a Does a success of a drummer come from networking, or does it come from your ability behind the kit, or both?
I mean, absolutely networking for sure. I think that we were actually talking about this on the phone the other day. I think the drumming community in itself is so amazing, and it's just the best community in the world for everything. Everyone's so lovely, and everyone just wants to help each other out, and everyone wants to be inspired, which I think is a really important thing. I think it's wanting to be inspired. Um, but yeah, I would say networking is very, very, very important. Obviously, being good, you know, be, being like, good at your craft is always something that, in my opinion, it kind of comes. That doesn't even need to be mentioned. You know what I mean? The question should never be like, oh, are you good enough to do the gig? You know what I mean? It's about all the other things that come to it as well. Um,
Yes.
because that's assumed that you know what I mean. I think that's something that is very important to note. But yeah, networking, I guess social media. I mean, I'm the worst. I'm really not the best example for social media because I'm quite all over the place with my social media, to be honest. Um, but uh, but yeah, I think networking is important. Social media is important. How you present yourself, because that's what people remember. They for a lot of time, especially if you're wanting to be like a touring musician, and you're
Mm,
going to be on the road for 6 to 8 months to for a couple of years, whatever, with this big crew and this big
mm,
team. You need to get on with people, and so I think impressions are a huge thing. So when you're networking, that's what you want to be. I don't know, that's something that I think is the most important. If like I said earlier, if your name comes up and someone's like, yeah, that guy, you know what I mean? It's like that could actually be, you could just be the right dynamic for that crew. You might not be the most, you might not have all the chops, or you know what I mean, you might just sit right with the music, and you're
mm.
just a really great person, and you're the right, because if you're coming into something where um you're like, it's a crew that's already established, and then you're coming onto it. If you're, I've had that a few times where you're the newbie, and no one else is, then
Mm.
you have to fit the vibe. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
sometimes that is the right thing for it. So I think impressions are everything.
And
With that
you
for sure.
you are so right about the drumming community. I will I say this in nearly every interview. I will die on the hill that says all I believe all other musicians in other areas want what the drumming community have. We support each
Absolutely.
other. We're transparent with each other. I have seen firsthand. I've had firsthand experience in seeing two strangers arrive at the UK drum show on a Saturday morning. They leave on the Sunday night best of friends. I don't know.
Amazing.
Drummers
Yeah.
drummers go on holiday together. Drummers go out for beers together.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like maybe this is just a really biased scene, but I've never seen that with anyone else.
No, there's I think there's a special the community, with the drumming community, I think is a very special place. And I think it comes from everyone. I feel that there's no kind of arrogant kind of
Mm,
atmosphere going on in the drumming community. Everyone wants to learn, everyone wants to be inspired all the time. And I think
yeah.
that's something that's really admirable, because, you can, you see guys, you go to the show, and you're watching someone, and like they could be a totally different player to you, totally different skill
Mm.
set, and you can just be like, yeah, man, that's wicked. They sound amazing, and you see
Yes.
everyone being like, yeah, this is sick, and I think I love that. There's no like, I don't like what he just did there. I don't like, what I mean, which I think comes with some other, maybe instrument, categories. I'm not going to say anything, but
You're talking about
with
lead guitar here, aren't
drums.
you?
Let's brush over that one. But with
No,
but
I'm
with
kidding. I'm
with
kidding.
drums,
Yeah.
but with drums, I feel everyone just wants to learn, and everyone just wants to always, better themselves on the kit, and I think I think everyone's just like a nice person. I've
Yeah.
I've never met anyone and gone like, oh, you're like, what I mean, you can kind of tell who the drummers are, and I really like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And they're usually the
Yeah.
ones having a laugh, probably having a beer, you know what I
And they're
mean? It's
always
just like they're just chill.
and there always seems to be the drummers are even at like local gigs, you've always got
Mm.
drummers standing at the side of the stage watching other
Yeah,
drummers.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's just like an unspoken like we're
Mhm.
almost like puppies. We're like, do you want to be friends? Do you want to be like? Do you want
Yeah, yeah,
to just
yeah.
with drums there obviously does come up controversial topics like should we play with click, should we not, should we play with the backing track, should we not. um
Hmm.
Drums is something that there's always that argument between feel versus technicality.
Hmm.
Where do you stand on that topic? Would you say you're a feel guy? Would you say you're more technically your mindset's more technical?
I think, I mean, I I I personally I don't feel like I am like the Phil guy. Um, Although I would love to be. I think I'm always so impressed when you see those cats just like absolutely like giving it some, and it's like, yeah, that's just like, I'm just like, I don't even know how they're doing that, you know. But I
Yeah.
think I think it's also important to I think it's a very good question. I've always been on the fence with it because I do think it's important to have all that stuff in the locker, because if you're on a gig and there's say musical director on the gig or whatever, and they want you to give it someone in a section, you're going to need to have to give it.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in a situation where you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. So I think it's always really important to, like, when I'm practicing, I do practice like chops. So I do practice, try and get that stuff in check. But feel is always the thing, man. I mean, I think for everyone, I feel like I don't actually know, like, even like, you know some of my friends who are like incredible, like, yeah, absolutely like virtuoso, musicians, and the chops are just infinite, but those
Yes.
guys will also say it's about the feel. I mean, you can play with the most incredible chops, but if you sound like, if it doesn't sit right, then it's
Yeah.
not cool.
Yeah.
That's
You're
how
not in
that's
that
how I
pocket.
always see it. It's
100%.
yeah, horses for courses, I guess. But I think the feel has always got to be there. I think that's the most important thing. I think that's something that can't be sacrificed ever.
And
You know.
at the UK drum show, just intertwining with your answer here, at the
Mm.
UK drum show, and also at loads of Catfish gigs, there's going to be aspiring drummers watching you, watching
Mm.
your work, watching your fills,
Mm.
watching your grooves. For those that haven't had the opportunity to ask you this, what, James, would your advice be to an aspiring drummer of any age, any ability? Perhaps they're a Catfish fan. Perhaps they've stumbled across this interview by mistake, but they've latched onto what you're talking about. What would you say to an aspiring drummer that would love to be playing the stadiums like you are, would love to, get on the bill at the UK drum show and would like to build up
Yeah.
themselves as a drummer?
Um, I mean, it's a great question. I think for me, um, I think being confident with, uh yourself as a player I think is a very important thing, because I think if you feel like, oh, I'm not very good at this, and I might not, I think it just immediately gives off this kind of energy that's like, oh, like, maybe this guy isn't right for the gig. I think impression is is, in my opinion, the most important thing. Your impression and the impression you leave on people. And
Mm.
I think just kind of believing in your thing. You know, if you like, you don't have to be, you know, the most technical drummer, or you don't have to like have to be able to play every, you know, genre of music. You know, if you have your thing and you like, you know, you say you love rock music and you're like, you know what, this is kind of my thing. You don't have to be the best jazz drummer, you
Right.
know, if that's what you
Yes.
want to do, you know, you don't like, why are you trying to get all these crazy jazz chops if all you want to do is play in a rock band and play rock music, you know, like
Yes.
focus yourself on that, you know, because in that world no one cares if you've got jazz chops, you know.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind of how I see it. And obviously if you want to, you know, be a, you know, kind of like a shit hot session cat, and you're, you know, you're doing the theaters and you're doing the movie scores and you're doing, then yes, you like, your craft is having all of these things like in the bank, you know. But like for me, I think if you're like, man, like that, like I want to be doing this, like if you sorry, I'm kind of like rambling on with this, but if you,
No,
for
no, I
example,
like it.
yeah, if you want to be, you know, like a if you love rock music and you want to be like sessioning with bands, you know, in that world, like you're not going to get that gig because you've got a load of, you know, jazz chops, or because you can
Mm.
play, you know what I mean? You're going to get that gig because you sound amazing playing that music.
Hmm.
So you want to be like focusing yourself on that, you know. So I mean, when I was a kid, you know, and I was like learning, and I was like, you know what, I want to try and do this kind of thing. Um, I was trying to be good at everything, and I
Hmm.
started to realize that actually that's not gonna, you know, get me, you know, that for me personally, that's not going to help me achieve the things I want to achieve.
Hmm.
Obviously, like if you know, that's not, I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't do that. You know, if you want to learn all these things, then you absolutely should. And I think it's always good to be inspired by all these different genres. Like for me, I
Mm.
listen to, like, jazz is the music I listen to the most, actually, out of everything.
Okay.
But I don't play jazz,
Yeah.
and I've probably said that in the past, and I was lying. You know, like I can't, you know, yeah, I can play some, you know, kind of I can do like a basic swing, I can do some bop stuff, but it's like it's nothing that's like, you know, I couldn't call myself a jazz drummer. But I'm inspired by all that music, and I find that that music inspires my playing, you
Yeah.
know, even when I'm playing a rock show in a stadium, you
Hmm.
know. So I think you want to take inspiration from this, but it's not, you know, detrimental to your career if you can't, you know,
Hmm.
you don't have to be the guy that does everything. You know,
Yeah.
just be amazing at like the thing you love doing, that you want to be good at. And that will bring your like your character through, you know what I mean? And that's what people gonna love, and they're gonna be like, I mean, this guy's great, he feels amazing, you know, he sounds amazing on the kit, like all this kind of stuff. That's the guy I want for the gig. And that's how you're gonna get it, you know. That's my opinion anyway. But yeah,
Thank you so much for coming on. It
you're
has
welcome.
been an absolute pleasure. You deserve all the success that is coming your way, and I wish you nothing but happiness and even more success moving forward. My
Thanks,
last
Ollie.
question, James. That's all right. Call it £10. No, I'm joking. My my last question for you is: what is your legacy, James? How would you like to be remembered in 100 years?
Oh my gosh. Um, everyone always says I have a really infectious laugh, and I feel like that's I think that's probably something that I'd like to be remembered for. I think that's quite a nice thing. I don't know. Uh,
It's cool.
um, not drum related at all, or does it need to be a drum answer?
No, 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 no. Do you know what?
But
Having a great laugh is a perfect way
yeah,
to wrap it up. I love that. I love that.
yeah, man, that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? You want to have a good time, you want to have a laugh. I think, I don't know, that's life's for living, you know.
I agree,
So
man.
yeah,
We will see you on the 19th of October at the
yes, you
ACC
will.
Liverpool. Best of luck with the rest of the tour with Catfish, and
Thank you.
yeah, and thank you for coming on the UK Drum Show official podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Take care.